You don't think Sarah Ferguson has given him a right hook, do you?
Well, anybody could give him a right hook, couldn't they, at the moment?
There's a long list. It would be a queue, wouldn't it?
It would be a queue. Yeah.
Either way.
When a fallen prince pulls out of a secure royal estate with a massive, dark purple bruise covering half his face, you know the secrets are finally breaking through the surface. The whispers starting behind palace walls are absolutely explosive, with some asking a shocking question. Did his own former partner, Sarah Ferguson, finally deliver a fierce right hook? For years, he thought his title made him untouchable. But as the iron gates slam shut and his closest allies vanish, the marks on his skin tell a much darker story. Some claim it's a sudden medical crisis, while others whisper about a violent confrontation. But the real question isn't how he got the scar. It's who finally decided to break the silence. You will want to stay tuned until the very last second of this video, because the final piece of evidence we uncover reveals a hidden conflict that changes absolutely everything we thought we knew about this family's downfall. If you love diving deep into the world's most captivating secrets, do yourself a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a single twist in this unfolding story.
An extraordinary headline in the Daily Telegraph. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor cashed in with secret rent deals, profiting potentially to the tune of hundreds of thousands of pounds via income from the Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate. Meanwhile, an inexplicable bruise on his face. What is going on with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor?
The image that flashed across the news desks was nothing short of stunning. Driving away from his secure cottage on the King's estate, his face was visibly battered, a dark purple ring completely encircling his right eye and stretching down his cheek. Instantly, the rumour mill went into overdrive, with commentators publicly questioning if someone had finally taken a swing at him. The palace scrambled into damage control almost immediately, issuing a hushed statement insisting there was absolutely no drama behind the injury. According to insiders, they tried to brush it off as a simple reaction to a routine medical treatment. But elite investigative journalists aren't buying the official story for a single second.
When the palace says no drama, it means there's drama. And I think the fact that Andrew chose to drive past the photographers that he was supposed to be avoiding like the plague, with his face looking right at them, knowing that they'd get a picture. Now, this is a man who managed to evade all the photographers at his granddaughter's christening and managed the famous picture of him leaving Royal Lodge was when he was halfway down, sliding down the back seat, which is why it was so unflattering. He knows exactly how to avoid the photographers. So I think he wanted drama. I think he wanted to be seen with that large bruise on his face. And I heard that he's very, very distressed not to be invited to the royal wedding today, Peter Phillips's wedding. Doesn't understand why he wasn't invited. And I think something bigger happened.
When a master of evading the cameras suddenly drives directly past a crowd of photographers, showcasing a severe facial injury, it usually means a message is being sent. Medical experts quickly pointed out that while certain health treatments can cause severe markings, a blow to the face causes the exact same trauma. The timing of this physical breakdown is what truly raises alarms, happening just as his entire world completely collapses behind closed doors. Rumors indicate that the pressure inside his home has reached a boiling point, leaving many to wonder if a heated confrontation finally turned physical. To understand why the public is speculating about a violent encounter, you have to look at the sheer level of anger surrounding him right now. For decades, he shielded himself behind a wall of royal protection, but that wall has completely vanished. The public's patience has entirely evaporated, and even seasoned royal biographers note that the list of people who would love to deliver a right hook to his face is growing longer by the day. Insiders whisper that the atmospheric tension inside his temporary residence is toxic, with shouting matches allegedly echoing through the halls. Could someone in his inner circle have finally snapped under the immense stress of the unfolding scandals? The palace continues to cite medical confidentiality, hoping the story will simply fade from the headlines. They suggest that routine medication for blood circulation can make even the smallest bump look like a brutal assault. Yet, the timing remains highly suspicious, occurring exactly as fresh legal documents are unsealed, bringing old ghosts back to haunt him. It is claimed that he has fallen into an incredibly isolated state, cut off from the lifestyle he once took for granted. But as the public debates who might have delivered that legendary blow, an even bigger scandal has just leaked from the estate management, proving that his broken face is the least of his worries.
But he's on all the front pages, allegedly paying a peppercorn rent on all of the properties that he owns. I think there's about 12 cottages in total. But yet is charging his staff. All the while, two of his two daughters, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice, seemingly being funded, and have been for some time, by the late Queen Elizabeth, and continue to be so by their uncle, King Charles. What do you make of it all?
While the world was staring at his battered face, a secret financial empire was quietly collapsing right beneath his feet. Reports suggest that for years he was running a highly questionable under-the-table operation from the comfort of his massive estate. Documents leaked from estate management indicate he was capitalizing on a rock-bottom arrangement known as a peppercorn rent. But instead of simply enjoying the nearly free luxury, he allegedly turned the property into a personal cash machine.
Yes, and then he keeps the money, you see. I mean, he's
Nice.
It's just terrible, isn't it? And the people who are there, have to pay, are his chef, his aides, and you'd think that he wouldn't have to do that because he hasn't really paid anything for his money. That's been paid for by King Charles, and actually he was copying what the Queen, the late Queen, did. And so he was very generous because they were never friends, they never liked each other, and he had a very rich time. But to do that to staff, he was so superior. This is a marvellous example.
Insiders say he began charging staggering rental fees to his very own personal staff, including his private chefs, security personnel and close aides. He was pocketing hundreds of thousands of pounds in pure profit, all while the taxpayers and the king covered the actual bills. This secret arrangement went completely unnoticed for years because nobody dared to question his authority. But when the truth finally leaked to the higher-ups, the reaction behind palace walls was pure fury. It is claimed that this wasn't just a clever business move, it was viewed as a blatant exploitation of the people working hardest to protect him. Rumours indicate that when he was finally forced out of the property, he didn't leave empty-handed.
He got over £300,000 when he left from Royal Lodge because he wasn't told quickly enough. You know, you have to give a date of when somebody has to leave, and they didn't do that. So that's what he's got, a massive amount of money. So he could have then stopped immediately and given them to the people who are working hard for him. But he didn't do that. It's all grab for himself.
According to sources, he managed to walk away with a massive payout of over £300,000 simply because officials failed to give him a proper eviction date. He grabbed every single penny he could, leaving his dedicated staff completely out in the cold. But as he scrambled to lock away his secret profits, his brother was already preparing a punishment that would strip him of the one thing he valued more than money. The reality of his financial collapse was a brutal wake-up call. But the ultimate humiliation was delivered by the king himself, who completely stripped him of his remaining identity. Insiders say his brother finally cut the cords entirely, removing his royal allowance and forcing him out of his beloved 30-room mansion. For a man who spent his life surrounded by absolute luxury, the relocation was a devastating blow. Reports suggest he was exiled to the cold, damp edges of the Sandringham estate, specifically to a modest property known as Marsh Farm. Rumours indicate he dragged his feet for months, desperately trying to fight the eviction, but the king refused to back down. What makes this move a total psychological defeat is the subtle branding of his new reality. Visitors to the estate quickly noticed that his new 5-bedroom farmhouse has been fitted with a light blue front door. According to sources, this exact colour is standard issue for the working staff and ordinary tenants on the king's property. It is a constant, unyielding reminder that he is no longer viewed as royalty. He is essentially a tenant living on his brother's charity. To make matters worse, this forced relocation has completely shattered his domestic life. For nearly 2 decades, he shared a home with his former partner, Sarah Ferguson, maintaining a close, united front against the public storm. But when the moving trucks left for Norfolk, she reportedly chose to stay behind in Windsor, marking the first time in 20 years they are living completely separate lives. Cut off from his wealth, his prestige, and his closest confidant, he was left entirely exposed in a boggy exile. But as he tried to adjust to the reality of his new commoner status, a terrifying security breach proved that he wasn't even safe behind his own blue door. The illusion of safety inside his new cottage vanished entirely when a masked figure breached the estate walls, sending him running for his life. Reports suggest that he was walking the late Queen's corgis across the grounds when the absolute nightmare unfolded. Out of nowhere, a man clad in a dark balaclava charged directly at him, screaming aggressive threats from just 50 yards away. Terrified and completely caught off guard, he and his remaining personal security guard had to turn and flee at full speed toward a waiting vehicle. Insiders say he was left completely shattered by the event, forced to lock himself away behind his blue door while police launched a full-scale investigation into the intruder. This terrifying breach wasn't just a random act of trespass, it was a chilling reminder that his public disgrace has made him an open target. According to sources, detectives have already tracked down a suspect, setting the stage for a dramatic high-stakes confrontation in a court of law. Rumors indicate that he is now scheduled to testify via a live video link to face the man who allegedly hunted him down on the estate. The immense psychological strain of this upcoming court appearance has reportedly pushed his stress levels to an absolute breaking point. He is living like a prisoner in his own home, constantly watching the perimeter for the next threat. But as he braces himself to relive that terrifying morning under oath, an even greater danger is closing in, this time from a heavily fortified police interrogation room. The absolute pinnacle of his downfall came on a quiet morning when heavily armed detectives arrived at his doorstep and placed him under arrest. For an unprecedented 11 hours, he was held in police custody, facing intense interrogation on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Reports suggest that the sheer scale of the investigation shocked even his closest allies behind palace walls. What began as an inquiry into his former international trade role has suddenly exploded into a massive look into his deepest personal secrets. Rumors indicate that investigators are focusing heavily on a trail of highly sensitive emails. According to sources, these documents allegedly show him sharing confidential government data with private business associates just 5 minutes after receiving them. This wasn't just a minor mistake. It was a potential breach of national trust that has senior politicians deeply worried. Insiders say that prominent former government officials have already been contacted by detectives, providing critical statements to build an airtight case. Every single file unsealed by the authorities seems to pull him deeper into a legal trap from which there is no escape. To make matters worse, the investigation has officially expanded to look into explosive claims concerning his behavior at Royal Ascot back in June 2002, during the late Queen's Golden Jubilee celebrations. Reports suggest that a woman working as a temporary hospitality waitress in the exclusive royal enclosure has now come forward with serious allegations of inappropriate behavior. Detectives are explicitly treating this as a key element of their wider inquiry, looking into whether his actions during these official public duties constituted a fundamental abuse of his position. The walls are closing in on him from every imaginable direction, leaving the king with no choice but to make a final, heartbreaking decision about his brother's future. The ultimate proof of his absolute isolation came when the guest list for the latest major family gathering was finalized, and his name was completely missing. Reports suggest he was entirely banned from attending a high-profile family wedding on the estate, a move designed to send a clear signal to the public. For a man who used to be at the center of every major national event, being completely erased from the family circle is a devastating public humiliation. Insiders say the decision was entirely down to the toxic optics surrounding his presence, as the family refuses to let his unfolding scandals overshadow their moments of celebration. He has become completely radioactive, a liability that the inner circle is desperate to keep out of sight. This enforced exile has left him completely cut off from the network that spent decades shielding him from reality. According to sources, he is now spending his days entirely alone inside his remote cottage, watching his former life vanish from the headlines. Rumors indicate that his remaining family members are deeply concerned about his current state of mind, recognizing that the pressure has reached an unbearable peak. Yet, even as they provide minimal support behind closed doors, they are fully prepared to let the legal system take its course. The protective shield is gone for good, leaving him to face the gathering storm completely on his own. But as the dark purple mark on his face continues to fade, the public is left with a much bigger, more unsettling question about what truly happened behind those locked gates. The ultimate mystery of that dark purple mark on his face may never be fully explained by the palace, but its symbolic meaning is impossible to ignore. It stands as a striking visual marker of a lifetime of privilege, completely unraveling in the public eye, proving that even the highest walls cannot keep the truth hidden forever. He is no longer a protected figure of state luxury. He is a man isolated on the cold edges of an estate that once bowed to him, waiting for the legal system to make its final move. As the investigations deepen and the inner circle continues to distance themselves, the true cost of his choices is finally being laid bare for the entire world to see. What do you think really happened behind the closed gates of Sandringham that left him looking so heavily battered? Was it truly a quiet medical side effect, or are the whispers of a furious family confrontation much closer to the truth? Drop your theories in the comments section down below. We want to read exactly what you think about this historic collapse. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the world's most captivating breaking stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now so you never miss our next deep dive.